The Harivamśa Purana, Chapter 5, The Childish Feats of Mahavishnu, The Death of Putana. After witnessing the goddess Durga in her terrific form, Kamsa's guilt and fear overpowered him. He freed Vasudeva and Devaki and allowed them to live in their own house. He then started thinking, after all, despite his momentary lapse in tyranny, he was still the cruel king of Mathura. He ordered all demons, devilish entities, ogres, and creatures of the worst kind to grant him immediate audience. Kamsa was a very powerful king who also commanded occult beings such as witches, demons, and other ogres. As soon as they all materialized in front of him, he gave a big speech. Dear brothers, sisters, and faithful servants, I have been commanded by destiny to die at the hands of that vile creature Mahavishnu. The moment the demons heard the name Mahavishnu, they all winced together. Noticing their hatred for that god, Kamsa smiled and said, Yes, I know the horrid Mahavishnu wishes to seal my fate and has incarnated into a little boy. Using magic, trickery, and illusions, he has managed to transport himself away from my clutches and is in hiding like a coward in the village of Gokula. My friends, have I not looked after you well? Have I not catered to your every need? Have I not doted upon you like a jealous parent? Asked the tyrant of Mathura. All the ghoulish fiends who sat next to him nodded fervently. Then this is how you repay me. He or she who slaughters the vile child born on the Rohini stars 8 days after the full moon of Shravana will be handsomely rewarded. You will be my dearest. I will have a palace built for you, populated with the finest women, wealth, and kind. Now go. Go and slaughter that child who is to be my executioner, roared Kamsa. And in turn, all the demons, ogres, and witches laughed in cacophony. Within minutes, a vile, horrid-looking witch approached the tyrant of Mathura. She had large teeth, disheveled hair, and a very ugly face. My lord, I have a gift for infanticide. I take pride in killing newborn infants. I have slaughtered hundreds of little children, spoke the witch with an evil smirk. And at that moment, all the vilest of ghouls laughed and wooed in pride. Kamsa's eyebrow furrowed. Is this true? He asked, stoking his lower left chin. It's true, my lord. I've seen her do it, said a devilish-looking creature. Very well, Putana. I command you to go and kill every child born in the village of Gokula under the Rohini star during the month of Shravana. Go now, my dearest. Go and show the prowess of King Kamsa. Send a message to all who dare defy me. Kamsa's words were like nectar to Putana. She got a sense of importance, as all the demons and ghouls looked at her with part envy and part respect. The great King Kamsa himself has ordered her. Such an honor, they thought. The witch Putana could fly, and as soon as she came out of Kamsa's fortress, the ugly ogress took to the sky, laughing hysterically in search of every child in the village of Gokula. Gokula was a peaceful village, full of cowherds who made it their livelihood selling and breeding cattle, cow's milk and churning butter. The evil witch reached the village of Gokula and using her illusionary powers, she turned herself into a charming, beautiful milkmaid. She went in search of the child born in the month of Shravana under the star called Rohini, specifically looking for any children born 8 days after the full moon. She didn't need to search far, however. As soon as she reached Gokula, news of 2 gorgeous baby boys was spreading fast amongst the villagers. The chieftain of the village had arranged a naming ceremony for the 2 boys, and so Putana hid herself meekly amongst the crowd of villagers and pretended to be a resident of the village. The naming ceremony was held with much pomp and flair. A feast was organized by the chieftain Nanda and his wife Yashoda. The village priest came and officiated the ceremony, and everyone in the village agreed that the first boy should be named Balarama because he was unusually strong. The second should be named Krishna. Krishna meant simply one who was attractive. It also meant one who is of dark complexion, and Krishna sported a blue-grayish hue, much like the densest cloud before a perfect storm. So the name Krishna fitted him perfectly. He was also called Kanna, which meant lovable by his nearest and dearest. After the naming ceremony occurred, the citizens of Gokula enjoyed a delicious feast, and everyone went on their way. Putana, however, began scheming. The naming ceremony perfectly identified her victim. The child was indeed born in the month of Shravana, the 8th night after the full moon, under the star of Rohini. The naming ceremony was like an invitation to Putana. Putana waited for all the commotion to subside, and after a few days the village returned to normal, and the people of Gokula began doing their daily routines, which included milking the cows, churning the butter, and taking care of cattle. Finally, when the people of Gokula lowered their interest in the 2 boys, Putana, disguised as a beautiful milkmaid, surveyed the house in which Krishna was fostered. One night, when everyone was asleep, using her powers as a witch, she snuck into Krishna's room and carried Krishna into the sky. The little baby Krishna, hardly a month old, was fast asleep. She carried the baby Krishna away from the house, and she turned back into the horrible ogress. The stench of death emitted from her fangs and jaw. Cackling like a maniac, thinking she had already committed the deed of infanticide, she pressed the baby Krishna's neck against her severely poisoned nipple. Not wanting to take any risks with Kamsa's orders, she smeared her breasts with enough poison to kill an army of men and kept pressing the little baby's face on her breast. "I'll smother this brat if I don't have to poison it," she thought, as she kept pressing the little child on her bosoms. The little Krishna awoke and began feeding. To her surprise, the little baby was unharmed. She held the infant closer to her bosom. Soon she began feeling a slight pinch of pain. Her nipple began to get sore. She was amused by the fact that the infant was not killed yet. Every other child she murdered died the second they were brought to her nipple. The pain, however, slowly began to get worse, and then a horrid pain erupted in her nipples, and she felt as though her very life was being suckled by the infant. Soon she was unable to breathe. "What's happening? Why isn't this creature dying?" she shrieked. Soon the pain was unbearable. She was hollering and screaming, but the infant had latched on her nipple and did not let go. Her shrieks woke everyone in the village. Everyone came running to see what was happening, and within minutes, the little baby Krishna had sipped all the life out of the horrid ogress Putana, and she dropped dead. The little baby crawled out of her right bosom, much to everyone's surprise and Yashoda's horror. A terror-stricken Yashoda bolted towards the baby Krishna and carried him in her arms. It was at this moment a villager ran to the chieftain Nanda. This is the evil witch Putana. She kills infants by poisoning them. She has killed over a dozen children in villages near here. Oh Nanda, Yashoda, hasten to see if the baby Krishna is okay, he bellowed. Terror now truly struck both Nanda and Yashoda's heart. They inspected every aspect of little Krishna only to see a baby boy who was perfectly normal, cooing like every other little baby. Despite terror, fear, and abject confusion, the villagers did not suspect Krishna was behind this. They worshipped Indra, the god of war, and thanked him for protecting their children. Perhaps Indra threw a thunderbolt on this ogress. That must have killed her, said one villager. Or it could have been Vayu, the wind god, who hurled the witch protecting the infant, said another. No one dared to think that the baby Krishna sucked the life force out of the witch. Yashoda hugged the baby with all her might, and everyone went back to their houses. A baby killed an ogress by sucking the life out of her bosom? How on earth did the Lord do that? Asked Janamejaya. Everyone has a life force called Prana, my dear student, and a Rakshasa is no different. The might of the god-incarnate was such that he was able to pull that prana out from her breasts, said the Rajaguru Janamejaya. Fascinating. What a horrendous witch! How can anyone indulge in a crime so filthy? Asked Janamejaya. My lord, despite her evil, she is still accepted as the mother to Lord Krishna. That was the title the Lord gave her, said the Rajaguru. How merciful! Tell me more about his childish feats, implored the king Janamejaya, and the guru continued.
I hope you liked today's episode of The House of Kuru. If you have not already, please subscribe to this channel and like this video so that you will be notified every time a new video is uploaded. Thank you.